So let's stick with the Flames because they continue to make news. Thank you, Calgary. They signed a couple of big RFAs for them. Let's start with Andrew Mangiapane. Maybe one of the two most Italian names in the league. The other one also signed an extension. Mario Ferraro. We'll get to him later. What are your thoughts, Mangiapane?
I think Calgary here went from overall a big overpay for Jonathan Huberdeau to maybe one of the best, most underrated contract signings I've seen in a very, very long time. Especially because, right, Calgary just can't sign free agents very well. Not many people want to play in Calgary unless they're from Calgary. Last year, Andrew Mangiapane, in arguably the most defensive system in the league, put up 35 goals. Yeah. Do you know that less than 30 players in the NHL scored 35 goals last year? Would you ever have thought Andrew Mangiapane was going to be one of them?
Not really. He never came across as a guy who could score like that, and especially because he kind of was like very. Like his progress was so like 1 year he was like taking a step, and now he's a borderline star.
100% he's a star in this league. When you score 35 goals, you are an upper echelon goal scorer. When we break down his overall play, he's in the expected value of offense in the 95th percentile, and defensively, he's among the top 2% of forwards in defensive metrics. Yeah. That puts you in an upper echelon of wingers that, honestly, Matthew Tkachuk and Brad Marchand are in. And I know a lot of people might get upset that I'm putting his name in those categories, but stats don't lie. Like, we see this a lot with Calgary wingers. We saw it with Tkachuk too, like I just said. I wonder if the system he plays in kind of beefs up those numbers. Maybe. But regardless, when you're in the 98th percentile of defensive metrics as a winger who scores 35, you are worth far more than what the 3 years, 5.8 that he got.
I think it was 5. Under 6. I don't have the exact number on me. Under 6 though.
Yeah, like as we continue, he is a phenomenal play driver. We talk about this again and again. I think play driving stats are probably the most important stat for a forward because they show that when offense and finishing dries up, at least he's creating play like both on and off the puck. Not only that, he did this all with playing third line minutes. Last year, right? He only got to play with Toffoli, who was pretty much bad for the whole second half of the year. Great. Right? They stacked up on the first line. He had no teammates that he was playing with. Still put up 35, playing 13 and a half minutes a night. Like, you think maybe this guy gets a chance to play on the first line with Huberdeau?
He'll definitely have to play a bigger role. I think one thing I've seen online and people talking about is that he put up all those points because he was playing on the. It's kind of counterintuitive to say it. He was putting up all those points because he was playing on the third line, so he was playing against like third pairing defensemen, not getting the hardest matchups. I think his competition percentile on Jay Fresh's charts was in under 50, I think. So people were saying, "Oh yeah, look at the crappy competition he was playing." And I think there's some merit to that argument, but I think this is just a good player. He also kills penalties, so regardless of the system he plays in, I think he's just good defensively. And to get him for 3 years, I think that lines up, and I'll talk about this a little bit, lines up perfectly with the window that they're looking at to win in. Mm-hmm. I think it does walk him to free agency, so they might lose him. But you have him under control for 3 years at a really good price. I don't think you can go wrong here for the Flames.
100%. And he's gotten better every year. I think 4 years ago he scored 8 goals, then went up to 17, then 18, and now 35. Like, he's trending up. The only problem with Andrew Mangiapane is that he is a very efficient scorer. That sounds kind of counterintuitive, but the problem is his shooting percentage was like 19.5% last year. That can mean one of two things. He's either very clinical and has a great shot, or he's just kind of getting lucky and he should have actually scored 25. I looked it up too. He doesn't take very many shots, pretty below the league average. I'm wondering, like you said, once his quality of competition comes above the 50th percentile, if the fact that he's not like putting the puck in the net because he's not taking enough shots is going to bite him. But honestly, at 3 years by 5.8, you're willing to take the gamble.
Even if he does, let's say he evens out a 25 goal score, like that's what guys get paid now to score 25
Still
goals.
A great contract.
Right. Similarly, they signed Oliver Kylington to a great deal, 2 years, $2.5 million. I love watching this guy because he's got to be one of the fastest and one of the smoothest skating defensemen in the league next to Cale Makar. And that might sound like a shock because he was maybe hidden on their second pair, third pair, but just watch this guy skate. He's so fast. He's so fun to watch, and he's developed into a pretty damn reliable top 4 defenseman. locked him up for 2 years. Again, right in line with their window. And the thing is, he's going to play with one of Rasmus Anderson, Brandon Tanev, or Mackenzie Weegar. Like, he's going to be paired with a great defenseman in that pairing. If it's your first or your second pairing, it's going to be a great pairing. I just really love this guy.
Couldn't agree more. I think Calgary needs this type of player. They really, like you said, you just named all those defensemen. They don't really have a play-driving offensive defenseman in their system.
It's true. He's
right?
going to be the guy.
Right? There's Zadorov, Weegar, Hanifin, Tanev, like you said, and now...
Anderson's decent at it, but I think Kylington might be a step above him in that regard.
For sure, and especially last year when I think he got paired with... It's Chris Tanev, right? Not Brandon?
Yeah, Chris.
It's Chris Tanev, who is probably one of the more premier defensive defensemen in the NHL. That's just the perfect defensive pairing for these two. And I know he's probably not going to play power play 1 because I'm pretty sure Anderson has that locked up. But having Oliver Kylington, or I can never pronounce his name properly. Kylington, excuse me. If you listen to us, you're going to hear me pronounce a lot of names improperly. I'm sorry. Having him as a second pairing defenseman on the second power play just adds a lot of depth to that power play, especially on a team last year that really relied on that first line power play. Maybe he's able to allow the second line to do a little bit more damage.
Yeah. I think just wrapping up on Calgary, we talked about, how that Huberdeau contract might not look good, but for the next 2 years, we know it's going to look good, and the next 2 years is 100% their window to win, because after the 2023-24 season, which is the season after the one coming, Lindholm, Toffoli, Hanifin, Tanev, Kylington, Dubé, and Backlund are all out of contract.
Wow.
And I don't see how they keep... Maybe they may be able to keep half of them because they're all going to presumably get raises, especially Lindholm was making under 5 right now. Maybe one of the... Not talked about as one of the best contracts in the league, but it's one of them without a doubt.
Easily an $8 million player.
Right. Easily. So they gotta try and make something happen these next 2 years, because after that, it seems like a pretty good chunk of their core might be on the way out.
So you think this is why they gave Mangiapane and Kylington these short-term deals to match up with that window?
Yeah, but I mean, the cap hasn't gone up, and they know, we have, let's lock these guys up for the years where we're going to keep our best players and kick the can down the road. Because honestly, if they don't win these next 2 years, Trey Leaving is probably out anyway, because he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, and it's probably not his fault because his team's constructed well, and he's honestly at the mercy of the market, and he did pretty well considering the fact that his 2 generational players on his team wanted out.
Yeah.
I'm just so surprised that Kylington didn't take more money. Like, it seems like he's far better, good enough to command more than 2 years at $2.5 million.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was that low too. I mean, I guess he was an RFA, so maybe that's sort of where the leverage comes into play, but good deal for Calgary either way. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content, and find the link to our full podcast and all our socials in the description down below.
Also, don't forget to turn on those notifications to get live updates on new videos that we release.